Welcome back. India has advanced the target date for selling solar power at the same rate as conventional electricity by 5 years to 2017, as tariffs have fallen significantly in the latest projects on offer, and the trend is likely to continue. Companies have bid tariffs as low at 7.49 per unit for solar plants this year, encouraging the Renewable Energy Ministry to say the target of achieving grid parity or selling solar electricity at the same rate as power from other sources would be achieved much faster than earlier envisaged.
In the wake of growing concerns over global warming, the Indian government is all determined to generate 20,000 megawatt of solar power capacity by 2020. The plan assures that solar power will be cost effective by 2020.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very interesting time that the prices of solar are coming down at a very accelerated pace, and today solar power is much cheaper than diesel power, and the next intersection we believe will be solar power and retail cost of power, and then subsequently it will go to compare with the grid power cost or the thermal power cost. I think in the next 5 years the cost of thermal power will be such that solar will be able to compete directly with thermal power in about 5 years' time.
Currently, the cost of electricity generated from solar photovoltaic is around rupees 15 kilowatt per hour, while coal-based electricity costs a measure of rupees 4 kilowatt per hour. According to experts, this cost gap will be covered because in the future, price of solar power cost will drastically decrease, and moreover, increase in demand for fossil fuels in future will only lead to increase in its cost.
We can see this conference coming very soon. So there is a big future for solar, in fact, and we are betting very high. But again, I would say that we like to show the optimism with a cautious note, because we expect that the average tariff which is constituted of coal, hydro, nuclear, it will also go up. Unless it happens, I think solar will never be taken as a substitute by the distribution companies, which are in very poor health and very poor financial conditions. So I think solar may become a substitute, provided all other enabling factors like regulatory positiveness, the policy making, the coal cost, at the same time environmental cost are also added in the tariffs.
The average tariff offered in the country round of bidding under the National Solar Mission was 8.78 per unit. The lowest bid was 7.49 per unit for 5 megawatt project. Company quoted price of 17.91 per unit for plant set up in 2009. But during the current round of bids, the company quoted bid price of 8.21, a drastic fall of 50% for plants coming up in 2012-13.
I think if we just talk about Azure Power, our first project, which is running in Punjab since 2009, our cost of sale or the tariff that we were claiming under that project was 17 rupees 91 paisa, and last week the projects that were allotted, we are at 8 rupees 21 paisa, which is, like you said, 50% lower cost. And there are two reasons for that. One is the increase in efficiency. I mean, the technology is getting more efficient, and second is increase in supply. So the basic infrastructure required to manufacture wafers and cells and modules is the same. So if you manufacture more and more of these, the marginal cost continues to go down. Very similar to how you see computers in 1970s. The computers were very expensive, and today almost every household has a computer, and they are much more faster and much more cheaper.
India is an emerging market and one of the few countries where solar energy is encouraged at such a massive level. Even the foreign players are encouraged by steps taken by India in the solar energy domain. Some big names from India have proved that a large investment will soon be possible in solar as huge as 2000 megawatt.
If you see the global installed capacity, Germany is leading the pack with around 22,000 megawatt of solar PV. Spain is with around 4,500, and other countries like Japan and China are also very good. So keeping in view the demand and supply at the global level, definitely I can see that technological innovation and the investment in solar would reduce the cost. But when I see India, I think we need more demand for the solar side. Right now, average bids in the market coming out of around 400-500 megawatt. Exception is Gujarat. But if we will not increase this solar demand to, let's say, 2,000-3,000 megawatt per hour, I am not able to see this decreasing trend in future also.
The cost of setting up a solar power plant per megawatt is said to fall from current 14 crores to 10 crores in 2012-13. Technology innovations and improvement in manufacturing would drive down costs further. Last month, the Central Electricity Regulation reduced the capital cost on solar cells, which is a major reason for falling tariffs.
More than 80% of the companies have bidded the tariff more than 8.25 rupees. So keeping this in your trend, I think 18-19 would be a probable future for grid parity. But we should not forget one thing. That grid parity is a culmination of two things. One is average power purchase cost and second is solar cost. If the regulator is very proactive and he allows the higher cost for the coal, because now we are importing the coal, if he allow more gas in the basket, then I think grid parity will definitely be there by 2019. But if somehow the regulator, keeping in the last trend, doesn't allow the tariffs, then this grid parity might differ for a few more years, let's say by 2020-21.
To talk in detail on solar power, we have with us Mr. Tarun Kapoor, Joint Secretary, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Good evening and welcome to Power News. Mr. Kapoor, first of all, I'd like to ask you that existing tariff for coal project is around 5.50 to 6 rupees per unit, whereas companies have bid tariffs as low at 7.49 per unit for solar plant this year. With this trend, when do you see solar power generation cost achieving equality to the thermal power and getting the complete grid parity?
In National Solar Mission, we are targeting 2022 as the date when complete grid parity would be achieved. Now, this would happen because the solar prices would come down, which is happening. That's the trend which we've seen in the past, and also the conventional power prices going up. But now what we've seen is that the results in the past two bids which we've done have been so encouraging that the prices have come down so fast that we feel that maybe we might achieve grid parity much earlier than that, could be 2017.
Solar tariff was quoted a price of Rs 16 for plants set up 2-3 years back. During the current bid, companies quoted bid price of around Rs 8, a drastic fall of 15%. Do you feel technology innovation and improvement in manufacturing would further drive down the costs?
Yeah, there are 3-4 things which are happening in this sector. Number one, the efficiencies of solar cells is going up. So if you have a solar cell with an efficiency of say 12% and you have another one which comes up with an efficiency of 20%, then for probably almost the same cost, the power generation goes up substantially, and so the cost of power generation comes down. So that's one major factor. Second factor is that the price of inputs has gone down, which would mean that price of say silica or price of certain other products which go into manufacturing of solar cells has gone down. Third thing what has happened is that large scale plants have come up all over the world. So due to economies of scale, the price has come down. Then manufacturing is gradually shifting into developing countries where cost of labor and certain other inputs is lower. So all this has contributed to bringing down the price at which these products are available in the market. In the future, what we see is that the scales would still go up because there is going to be a large demand in India and in certain other countries also. So we could see much larger scales, and we also would probably see manufacturing coming into India in a much bigger way. So price might still come down. Technology improvement, certainly it's going on, and new technologies, there's going to be new things coming in, concentrated solar, then certain other things, the amount of silica which is required, that quantity itself is going down, and then certain other materials are being tried which might turn out to be cheaper. So with all these factors, the price is bound to come down drastically in the future years also.
India is an emerging market, and as solar energy is encouraged at such a massive level, many global players have ventured into the sector. Internationally, the price of solar cells has come down, and CERC also has reduced the capital cost on solar cell. How do you see the future trend and growth of solar sector becoming the option for peaking demand?
You can set up solar plants very close to where the demand is, and you can set up any size and anywhere. So with that, we see that solar has big scope in the future. On the other side, the disadvantage is that you get solar power only for a few hours. say about 5 hours in a day and say about 300 days in a year. And so far storage is a very expensive proposition. So storage is really not possible. So solar power can be best used for applications which are happening during daytime. For example, irrigation. You can irrigate your fields anytime. Daytime is good enough. Air conditioning load, solar power would be just perfect for that. So whatever load is peaking at this time is best served with solar power. Whatever load is peaking at night time, solar power not possible. I won't say that solar is going to replace conventional power. Without that, without cheap storage, solar would play a role which would be supplementing conventional power and taking on a large volume or large part of the power requirement in India and all over the world.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor, for talking to us. It's time for another short break. And on the other side, we have an exclusive report on EHV power cables. Keep watching Power News.